Listen to this InspiredInsider.com interview. We talk with John Romaniello. How does John seem to know everyone, get big clients while getting a 7-figure book deal? He talks about his 2 biggest fears, that and much more, coming up right now. Jeremy Weisz here. We're here with John Romaniello. Just to tell you a little bit about John, Arnold Schwarzenegger's fitness advisor, Gary Vaynerchuk's trainer, owner and founder of a 7-figure affiliate business and web community that is very active on Facebook. You should check it out. Angel investor in a bunch of big fitness startups. More importantly, his book is coming out, and his book is about problems with our hormones. It's about lifestyle, diet, psychology, preventing guys and girls from being as alpha and as they're born to be. He's also the author of The Final Phase Fat Loss and co-author of The Superhero Workout. And his next book is Man 2.0, Engineering the Alpha, a real-world guide to an unreal life. Thanks, John, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeremy. Really appreciate it.
I always like to include a fun fact, and fun fact about you is you have a fear of clowns and spiders.
Yes.
Oh, I would never have guessed.
Yeah, I know. Like, don't let this muscular carapace fool you. Beneath all this beats the heart of not only an extreme uber nerd, but a nerd who is terrified of spiders and clowns. Yeah, it's true. I don't understand. Like, spiders, I mean, everyone is afraid of them, I think, but clowns, I just don't see how that ever actually. How did clowns come into being? Who greenlit the idea for scary clowns?
Exactly. No, we get a lot of comments from people. They have an idea, they don't know where to start.
Sure.
Maybe they're trying to have a side business with a full-time job, family debt. You could relate to that. And going from that idea to that big client or sale, and what you've done is pretty amazing. You've gone from the idea, getting a huge list of clients, and just telling us a little bit about how you went about that journey. First, can you tell us, how did you get into fitness in general?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think like a lot of trainers, particularly high-level guys, I went through a dramatic body transformation. I grew up being a chubby kid, and then when I was 20 years old, I was fortunate enough to join a gym and find a great mentor and go through this transformation. I went from being a chubby 193 to like a shredded 160, and then back up to 193 with all the extra muscle that you see here. And it was that really took place over a year, and that year sort of it changed my life in a lot of profound ways. And so even though I was in school, I sort of decided right then and there that I wanted to do this and help people change their lives.
Before we get into some of the the pivotal moments that allowed you to kind of launch your career and make big connections, can you tell us one of those? Because a lot of people right now are at that point where it almost feels nearly impossible to get in front of that client or get that customer. What was a moment back, if you remember back, when it felt impossible for you and you hit a roadblock?
That's interesting. So I think that for me, like I didn't even know maybe who my dream clients were. I remember when I was first thinking about starting my online business, or maybe first starting it, I read The 4-Hour Work Week, as I think everyone does. And I remember like I was about 30 pages in, and my thought was not so much like, oh my God, I have so much to learn. It was like, oh, this Tim Ferriss guy, he seems like a cool dude. I'd like to hang out with him. And so like in my head, I just sort of said that, and it seemed like an impossibility that I would ever like be in a room with Tim or get to meet him. And now fast forward, 3 years later, and Tim he's a great friend of mine, and he helped me a lot in my book and a bunch of other things. I've helped him with a ton of projects, and like Tim's a guy who if I needed advice, I could call him at 3 a.m. And so like that was obviously a series of steps up the path to that relationship. But at that point in like 2009, I certainly didn't think it was possible to have that relationship with Tim.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a good point. We feel something's nearly impossible, but fast forward, you're at that point. What were some of those things that got you to that point?
One of the things that I always say is not to be afraid of the pay-to-play model. I've built my relationship with Tim, just from like making myself useful to him and vice versa. But the first time I met him, there was a conference, a fitness conference in Austin that he was attending. This is prior to the release of the 4-Hour Body, so he was really looking to build alliances. And knowing that book was coming out, I surmised that was the reason that he was going to be there. So I paid like $1,500 to go to that conference, and Tim actually doesn't know this, so if he's watching this, he's going to find out. I was scheduled to leave on a flight, I think at like 10 a.m., like on the last day of the conference after he and I had been hanging out. And he mentioned that he was actually taking a flight to New York at 1:30. So I actually called and got on his flight because I figured maybe there's a shot that we'll be like seated next to each other and I can continue to build a relationship, which actually happened. As it turns out, my seat was directly in front of his.
Wow.
Yeah, it worked out really well. So, I don't think Tim, I didn't want to sound like a fanboy at the time, but so yeah, and then like Tim, he actually had some event to go to and he was going right from the plane. It was in Manhattan anyway. I was like, hey, why don't you come back to my place and grab a drink, grab a shower. So just, being a good friend. And then, from there, I helped him get a couple of interviews published on magazines that I had a connection with, and he actually helped me get published in a magazine that I didn't have a connection with, all to promote his book. And he sort of used me as a sounding board to discuss certain people in the fitness industry who he was curious about and didn't know sort of where they're, where in the scale of white hat to black hat marketing they might lay. And excuse me one second, sorry. So, forget it. It's fine. You could just. Sorry about that. Sorry. Just ignore it. Forget it. Thank you.
I love when we have these. This is real world interview. There's stuff going on in the background.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, and so over the past 3 years, like Tim and I have just been able to help each other with a lot of things, and I was able to help him with 4-Hour Body. I actually appear in a chapter of the 4-Hour Chef, where he and I are eating like 14,000 calories worth of ice cream. And so the first thing that I would say to people is like, just find out where these people are going to be, the people that you want to network with, and just go there. They're like these conferences, like there's, usually if someone's speaking at it, it's a good place to meet him. I met Gary Vaynerchuk because he was giving a talk at the Soho Apple store. So it was like, it was 20 minutes from my place. I hopped in a cab, went down there. I brought a copy of Crush It for him to sign. And I wore a Jets hat so he would know I meant business. And, I gave him a RomanFitnessSystems t-shirt, my business card. I was like, hey, if you ever need a trainer, let me know. You've been a big influence. I followed up with him by email. And, like 3 weeks later, I was training him. So it just, put yourself in front of people. You never know what service that you have to offer. And it's a big leap to think that a fitness guy would be of service to Gary Vaynerchuk, who talks about wine and social media, but it managed to work out really well. So I've been really fortunate in that regard. So again, the main thing is put yourself in front of people and make yourself known. Be active in their community. Post links to their stuff. People, no matter how big people are, they notice. No matter who you are, if someone's posting links to your site pretty regularly and you see they're sending you a fair amount of traffic, you're going to take notice.
Right, and it seems like a common thread with Tim and Gary is you just wanted to help. I mean, you just reached out and you did whatever you could to help them first.
Right, exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever asked Tim for a favor until it was time for this book. So, I got a good piece of advice that's just like, in general, you should always have people owe you more favors than you owe them. And I think that's been really, really helpful. So I've always gone out of my way for Tim. Certainly, I'm not ignorant of the fact that he can help me in a lot of ways, but really just because, at this point, I consider Tim one of my best friends, and I would do anything for that guy. And same with Gary. So, but yeah, absolutely. Go out of your way to help people, make yourself useful, and they'll come to rely on you. And then again, one of the things I always say is, all other things being equal, people would rather do business with their friends.
Right. So what's one thing, if someone in the audience wants to start forming a relationship or getting that big client or connection, what's one thing you tell them to start doing right now today that would help them?
Send him an email. Just send him an email and just hey, I know you're super. Keep it short. I can't stress this enough. I'm in a position now, thankfully, where I get a ton of emails from a lot of people who are just telling me what an influence I've been. And I'm sure at some point in this text wall is them asking me for something, but I never get to it because I don't want to read that. Send someone an email, 5 to 10 sentences, like, hey, really like your stuff, big fan of your book, just want to let you know that like you're doing awesome. You've like definitely helped me in a lot of ways. Here's a blog post I actually wrote talking about how much your book changed my life. If you want, there's a link. Anyway, talk soon, John. So that's really the only thing that I can say. Like if you tweet at them, be like, hey man, really loved this, this, and this. People notice that stuff. So social media, Twitter in particular, is a really easy way to get in front of people, and it's a lot more direct than Facebook, where things get lost in the shuffle. So I would say that really focus on just reaching out, following up, back off for a little while. Nobody likes a stalker. Reach out and follow up. Wait 3 weeks. Reach out and follow up. Reach out and follow up. Just people. Everyone who is of a certain level got there because they understood networking, and they're all savvy people. The Tim Ferrisses and the Gary Vaynerchuks and all these people. They're savvy. They know what you're doing, but they respect that you respect their time. And, if there's a way for you guys to help each other down the road, it can happen. Just talking about pay to play, another thing is that I did, and again, like Tim was throwing an event in Napa Valley. It cost $10,000. I'm sure I was like one of the first 5 people to sign up. For 2 reasons. One, again, because I was building that relationship with Tim, but more importantly, because he was teaching stuff that I wanted to know. How to like write a proposal that would get a big advance and market a bestseller. So that information was relevant to me. I wouldn't have gone if it wasn't. But like not being afraid to, drop 10 grand and like go learn this stuff lets him know you mean business, and then, stuff like that. So
yeah, you're serious. It shows you're serious.
Right. Exactly right.
So John, you're disciplined. You've built a great business and continue to, and do a lot of training. What's a system or tool or something you use in your daily life and business that would be helpful for people to do?
Oh, I'm huge on. Hear my dogs again?
I love that.
They're just going crazy. I'm huge on rituals and.
They like that question.
So yeah, they love that one. So I'm big on rituals and scheduling because if I don't have things written in front of me, I will not. I just can't get things done. And so probably the most inspiring person of all time for me is Thomas Jefferson. And I read a lot of Thomas's books, and one thing that I found is that he kept a pocket notebook where he recorded things. He actually didn't carry a notebook. He had these ivory leaves that he wrote on in a small like lead pencil, and you could erase them. But anyway, so like keeping detailed notes and making lists and crossing things off lists and having schedules, those are things that are important to me. So every day when I wake up, I actually make a small to-do list in the like field notes type book, and I get great satisfaction in crossing these things off. It's like this intense personal satisfaction. So having systems is really good. And then something that I learned from my buddy Nate Green is to do a brain dump at the end of every night, and just like anything that you haven't done, anything that you're still thinking about, just like write it all out on paper so it's still there in the morning, and I find that helps me sleep a lot better.
What's a ritual you have that people wouldn't expect? Like I always picture Rocky, drinking the eggs in the morning. What's something strange that people wouldn't expect that's in your daily rituals?
Daily, let's see. What is something? I have a really, really intensive skin regimen. I'm really big on protecting my face, so I have. It's actually funny. If you've ever seen the movie American Psycho with Christian Bale, there's that opening scene where he talks about all the different products he uses. It's very much like that. So like I do have like I use a facial scrub and a toner and then an eye cream, and then like I have different products depending on the length of my hair so I'm really sort of a metro. So yeah, but a big thing for me is like every morning and night I have a 10 to 15 minute skincare regimen that I'm very dedicated to.
That's intense.
Yeah.
So I have one final question. Before I ask it, I want you to tell us a little bit about your business, what you have going on right now, and your book.
Sure.
So people hear about it.
So I own a few different businesses. The main one is Roman Fitness Systems, which has 3 branches. It's got Roman Fitness Publications, Roman Fitness Publishing, and through that we release all our digital products, ebooks and things like that. There's Roman Fitness Promotions, and that's how we run all of our affiliate promos. So we promote other people's products, supplements, gym gear, and all that. And then there is Roman Fitness Consulting. And through that, we do all of our online personal training, so it's fitness consulting. But I also run my business consulting through there, where I help other people bring their businesses online. And so that's RFS. And then I've also got something called Fitbox, which is a startup we're launching in June. And this is it's sort of in the line of Birchbox or Foodsy. It's a monthly delivery service. It's going to be $30 or $40 a month. We haven't decided on the price point yet. And every month we get the best workouts, recipes, gear, supplements. We put them in a box and ship them right to your door. And so the thing that makes it different from other boxes is that it's exceptionally content-driven, because you do get these workouts from extremely high-level coaches. So there's that. And then I also do some angel investing. I'm invested in a couple of fitness startups and one non-fitness startup. And so I'm really like always looking to, find new companies and sort of help them out and see what I can do to guide them and offer advice. And certainly I'm not averse to putting a little skin in the game.
So tell people about the book, because I want people to check the book out that's coming out.
The book, Man 2.0, Engineering the Alpha, subtitled A Real-World Guide to an Unreal Life, is a guide on how to be awesome, and how to be awesome at being awesome, is the general way to put it. It's really a lifestyle guide masquerading as a fitness book. There are, training programs in there and nutritional regimens and supplementation information, but really the approach that we take is we teach people how to change. And in our particular case, my co-author Adam and I, we're teaching them how to make this physical transformation, but we believe that those skills are portable into different areas of your life. And so we think that if people go through the program, they're going to find these skills and these different characteristics within themselves that they can then use to improve other areas of their life. They'll be able to improve their relationships and friendships, certainly business, entrepreneurialism, all of these things. So I believe it's a book that will help you become the best version of you, whereas we like to say the alpha version of you.
Yeah, and just people have to check this book out, because John, just for the one reason, he has the best stories. And so, yeah. One last question, John.
Sure.
Could you tell us about the organic chemistry on your arm?
So that right there is the chemical structure of the hormone testosterone, which is a big part of the book. Testosterone, I think it is certainly one of the most important hormones that's not being discussed. It's responsible in part for muscle gain and fat loss, but also for sex drive, ambition, motivation. And for me, it's been really, really important. I went through a period of low sex drive in my mid-20s, and when I got out of that, my life got better in every regard. And so the tattoo actually has a couple of different meanings. Firstly, obviously, testosterone is important. But when I was 20 years old, I met my best friend because we were both writing for Testosterone Magazine, which is now tnation.com. It's a bodybuilding website. And 10 years to the week after he and I met, we were in Atlantic City for his bachelor party, and so we got these tattoos. So he's got one on his right forearm, I've got it on my left. And, if there's any hormone that is responsible for bromance, it's testosterone. And so for Joel and I, it's like really, it's definitely a friendship tattoo.
Thank you for sharing, and I hope that, I'm wishing is that the cover of the book? Is it your...
No, we did work an image into the book. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Kind of graphic.
Very nice. So, John, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Everyone should check out John's website, RomanFitnessSystems.com, and also his name.com, and check out his book coming out. Thank you, John, so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeremy. Take care, guys.